Hello everyone, and welcome to the Alluring Bead Boutique's design channel on YouTube. My name is Datrina, and today I'm going to do another technique tutorial, and we're going to go ahead and learn how to do the wire wrapped loop for jewelry making. A couple of examples here of how you can use the wire wrapped loop. The first one is obviously to make little beaded links like this bracelet here. On this bracelet, I used 4 different types of gemstones in various sizes. I've got some 4mm African turquoise as well as some 6mm. I've got a couple of little 5mm chocolate pearls. I've got some 4mm honey jade and some 4mm fire agate. And I use little wire wrapped links to create each one of the little beaded links for the bracelet. And then I also used a wire wrapped loop here to create this lovely clasp, this little unique looking clasp. You can also use that same technique for making longer earrings like that. And then I made this little pair of earrings over the weekend. And I do have a video out there that shows you guys how to create these cute little wrapped hoop components. I'll throw a link up to that. And then I just used, on this version, I only created the wire wrapped loop on one side of the circle. On the other version, I did it on both. But as you can see here that I have wire wrapping here, as well as on the loop for this little component. And I just love the way these cute little earrings came out. It's just some little free seed beads I got from Fusion Beads. And I added one here on my homemade earring finding. I just thought they came out really cute. Here is another example of a clasp with some wire wrapped loop on it. And those are just a few examples of things you can do once you perfect your technique on doing a wire wrapped loop. So what we'll need today for, I thought what I'd do is I made this pair of earrings as part of a PDF guide that I'm going to put on my website. And if you're interested in seeing how those are made, you can get the PDF off of the alluringbeadboutique.com. But I thought what I'd do is just go ahead and make some links using these matching beads so that I could maybe put together a little bracelet to go with the earrings. So what you're going to need, I'm going to use this 22 gauge wire. This is just artistic wire, and it's in the antique brass color, which this is, colored over copper wire, and it's really soft. It's the dead soft. I've got some beads here. Let's see what size they are. I think they might be 10mm beads. We'll just make sure here what I've got going on. Actually, these are 8mm beads, and these are a pretty little blue with black marble, and they're just glass beads. And I'm going to need some, I used some 11/0 seed beads here and some 15/0s. The 15/0s I'm using are Bronze Olympic Toho. And my 11/0s are size 11 Duracoat Galvanized Champagne, also by Toho. So that's what you'll need for materials or whatever you want to use. You do not have to use these materials, but you can use whatever beads you feel like. You're going to need some chain nose pliers, and I've got a couple of pairs laying here. I got these recently, these really fine tipped ones, and I really like them for working with wire. They're a lot easier for me to tuck my little sharp end in at the end of each wire wrap. And I've got, these are the Glitter line by Bead. They're, I gotta admit, I think Joann's or somewhere. These are Beadsmith round nose pliers, and I got these from Amazon. And I already have my marks made where I like to make my smaller loops and where I like to make my little bit larger loops. And I mark those with a Sharpie so that my work comes out even every time and looks really professional. And you'll also need some flush cutters. So these are the main 3 tools that you're going to need, are the flush cutters, the round nose, and the chain nose. These are my good little Xuron cutters I got off of Amazon. I love these cutters. They're also from the Beadsmith. distribution, but they are Xeron, and they work great. And then I've got just a couple of pair of pliers that I have coated with Tool Magic. And I like to coat one pair of my chain nose and one pair of my flat nose pliers with that Tool Magic, because I tend to squeeze really hard, a lot harder than I should, I guess. And it leaves little indentations and marks in the finish on this copper wire. So I like to have a couple of pairs of my pliers coated with Tool Magic so that I don't mar up my artistic wire as badly. Alright, so gather up some materials. If you have a little small ruler like this, go ahead and get that out, or a tape measure, or whatever kind of measurer that you have available to you. And we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and start by cutting myself a length of wire to work with. You can work, if you're comfortable working off of the spool, go ahead and do it. I cannot do that with where my tripod sits in order for me to make the video. I'm going to use a relatively short piece. I don't really like working with anything longer than about 6 to 8 inches at a time, just because it becomes really hard with this really soft, thin wire. If you have a long tail that you're trying to wrap around your loop, it's really easy to bend things out of position. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut myself about 6 inches right here. And I want a flush cut end on my working end of the wire, which is running this way. So I'll take the flush side of the cutters facing towards the wire I'm going to be working with, and I snip like that. Then I always make sure and cut myself a flush end on my spool wire before I put it away. Now, I also want to make sure that I have a flush end here cut onto the end of the wire that I started with. So I'm going to go ahead and cut just a little snip off. I'm going to put the flush end towards the length of the wire I'm keeping, which is off to the right now, and I'm just going to snip that tip off. So now I know that I'm flush on both ends, and I'm ready to start. Now to start, and I'm using this wire because it's really inexpensive, and I don't mind if I wind up wasting just a little bit of it. So I'm going to take my ruler, and for the size loops I'm making, because I've already made some, I already know that a 1 1/2 is going to give me a lot of waste. So I'm going to come down to 1 1/4 right here on my ruler. And I'm going to grab the wire right there at the 1 1/4 mark with my little chain nose pliers here. I'm just going to take the wire and push it forward with my thumb. So I'm left-handed and I'm working with my right hand here on this part until I get a 90-degree angle bend in the wire, just like that. So now I'm going to take those pliers out. And I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers. And I want my loops to match the ones on my earrings. So for those, I used the mark here closest to the tip of my pliers. So I'm going to come in, put my wire on that mark, and I'm going to grab it right there. You can see the angle, how I'm putting the wire into my pliers, so that this is what it looks like. Oops, I slipped out, sorry. So this is what it looks like. So now I'm ready to create the loop of my first part of the loop. So I'm going to take my finger back here on the back side, and I'm going to push this wire up over the top of my plier, this top part of my plier, right there at the mark, and come around till it meets the other wire here, like this. Now, this part's not very hard, but you just don't want to lose your mark. So I'm going to open my pliers up a little bit, and I'm going to rotate around until the free nose of my pliers is on the top now. And my wire is still lined up here on my mark. So now I'm just going to take this wire, and I'm going to come on around and close my loop like that. Now, I'm going to rock back. Using my right hand, I'm going to gently rock this way, just to straighten the loop, and then I want to make sure that my two wires still set at a 90-degree angle, like that. So when I take my pliers out, this is what I have. And here's where I like to use my Tool Magic pliers. for holding on to the loop portion while I wrap. So I'm just going to take and lay the eye of my loop onto my pliers, and I'm going to get the edge of my pliers right there where those two wires meet, and I'm going to come down. You can see how close this wire is to the, it's facing the same direction as the tip of my pliers, like this. And you can see how close I've grabbed in here to where the two wires cross over each other. So now I'm going to take my little chain nose pliers, and I'm going to make just a little tiny kink like that on my wrapping wire, just to have a little handle. So now I'm going to grab that, and when I come around the back side of this wire, I learned this trick from somebody else on YouTube. If you'll come back overextended like this just a little bit, that will get your first wrap really close to where your two wires meet right here, and that's what you want to do. And now before I come back around, I'm going to come under, grab my wire over here, and come back around. And if my wire has slipped some away from where those two wires meet, I can take my fingernail and just push it back up there, just like that. Then I'm going to pull this wire just a little bit more, just to tighten it back up. You see how close my first wrap is there to the top. And this first wrap will determine how the rest of your wraps look. So I've been doing 3 wraps, so that's 1. Actually, that's a half. Now when I come back around, that's 1. So now I'm going to come back around behind the pliers for my second half of my, the first half of my second loop. I'm going to check my positioning, make sure my little wraps are close together, pushed up nice and tight. I'm going to take this over here. I'm coming back underneath, grabbing the wire, and I'll come back over. Just like that. I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to grab my wire. I'm on the top of my wire here with my pliers. I'm going to overextend just a little bit, come around the back, come under and grab and pull, and then I'm going to stop right there. So 2.5 wraps is where I'm going to stop. When I let go, this is what, if I were to continue on over that wire, that would be the start of another loop, and I don't want to start another loop. I want to end mine right there. So 2.5 times around, and we're going to get our flush cutters. We're going to be working with the back side closest to our work. I'm going to come in here with the tip of these pliers, just like, or cutters I mean, just like this, and I'm going to get in there and snip my little tip off, just like that. So this is what we have so far, and look how nice and pretty my wraps look. They're all really close. If they have slipped down some, you can very, very gently take your chain nose pliers. You could put one into the center of the loop like this, and then just scrunch your coils together very gently. You do not want to do this with any real force. So now I've got this little sharp end right here, kind of sticking out, if you can see it. And we don't want to leave that like that because it can catch on clothing and things like that. So I'm going to come in here with my little tip of my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to work that down against the base wire until it's not sticking out really sharp. And it takes a little practice to learn how to get this correctly without squeezing really hard. If you squeeze real hard, you're going to misshape everything, and you'll have to cut it off and start all over. So that feels good. So I've got that nice and smooth down. I don't feel any sharp edges or points on that wire now. And there's our first little wire wrapped loop. It's really cute. So, I don't know why I didn't have some of these beads out, but let me just get out a few beads. And I'm just going to try to match these up to the ones I made on the earrings. And so I've got my big beads, and I just need a very little bit of these 11-ohs and 15-ohs. So I'm going to pick up first one of my little 15-ohs and then one of my 11-ohs. I'm going to pick up my bigger bead, and I'm going to pick the 11 and the 15 in reverse order. So there's my little 5 beads. I'm just going to let those slide all the way down. So on your first link, things are really easy because you don't have to attach this link to anything, because this is going to be your base link. But what you want to do is, you see that my loop is facing this way. I want to turn my loop so it's facing this way, facing up and down, so all that I see is this side of the wire. I'm going to take my pliers, my little chain nose pliers, and I'm going to come down and grab that wire firmly against the beads. Then I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to go ahead and bend my wire at that 90-degree angle. Now I can bring my round nose pliers back in, and we're going to do this just the same way. We're going to grab it on our mark, and so that it looks like this here. Now I take my wire and I'm going to come up over my free nose right here, and I'm going to bring it around till it touches the bead. I'm going to loosen my grip, flip my pliers around, rotate my pliers so that my free nose is on the top again. Then I'm going to continue on with my wire across my base wire. And I like to come around to the front because I'm left-handed and that's the way I wrap. So now I'm going to rock it back just ever so lightly. And now I can let go. And this is what I have. And now I can come in and grab my loop again with my nice little Tool Magic pliers. Now, for me, and this may not be the same for you, but for me, I find it very awkward trying to wrap with this long wire, and 9 times out of 10, what winds up happening is I bend this wire here. And I don't like for that to happen. So it's a lot easier for me just to snip this piece off, and I leave myself probably, let me just measure, I'm going to say around a good inch or so. And I'm just going to snip that right off. Now I'm going to grab my little chain nose pliers again. I'm going to come in and make myself that little handle. And I'm going to overextend my first wrap so that it comes right up against where my 2 wires meet. Then I'm going to come under my work, grab my wire, and bring it on around to this side. I'm going to snug that wrap into position up close to the hoop. I'm going to come and grab my wire again and come back around. And then I'm going to grab it again from underneath and bring it around one more time. And now I'm going to make sure that my wraps are nice and snug. And when I do that, I'm going to push on both sides like so. So now I got one more to do. I'm going to grab my little handle. I'm going to come back across, just like I've been doing. Then I'm going to come underneath and bring it on around, just like that. And now I'm going to snip off my end. I'm going to take the flush side of my cutters, going closest to my work. I'm going to get in there as close as I can get and snip that little piece off. So now my first little link looks the exact same on both sides. All I need to do now is make sure I don't have a sharp little tip poking right there by taking my chain nose pliers and gently flattening it down to the base wire. Like that. And this one important thing is that on each link, you want your hoops the same way. So I want this one flat with the hole showing, and this one flat with the hole showing, just like that. All right, so now we're going to make our second link, and we're going to connect it to our first link. I'm going to start by making sure I have a flush end cut here on the end of my wire. I'm going to find my 1.5 inch mark here with my little ruler. And I'm going to grab right there on my mark with my chain nose pliers. I'm going to bend that wire over to a 90-degree angle. Now I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, put my wire on the mark between the two noses of the pliers. I'm going to push this end over the top, following my mark, till it comes around straight down, like that. Open, rotate, and close. Grab the wire and bring it on around across the base wire. If you need to, you can rock your loop back so that it sits prettily and centered on the base wire. Alright, so now before we wrap this end, we're going to connect our link. And I've done this so many times, you guys. If you forget to connect your link, don't worry about it. Finish making your link, then you can connect your two pieces between the existing work next time. So I'm going to take this link, I'm going to come down the crossover piece of my wire, and I'm going to pull that little thing, pull it into the little loop, just like that. So now when I come in to grab with my cute little magic dipped pliers here, I want to grab as close as I can, once again, to where those two wires cross over each other. Now it's time to grab my chain nose pliers, make myself that little handle because I just feel like it works better for me. I'm going to overextend my first wrap around the back. I'm going to come around underneath, grab my wire, and bring it forward. And you can see my wire slip just a little bit, so I'm going to take my fingernail and push it towards the pliers. And then I'm going to pull this wire just a little bit tighter so that I have a nice looking wrap. Now I'm going to come back across and grab my little handle. I'm going to come back across the wire and still overextend slightly towards this part of the plier. And then come underneath and bring it on around. I've got one more to do. So I'm going to come over and around. And I'm going to let go and come under and bring it to this position right here. I'm going to make sure that my wraps are nice and tight and coiled up against each other nicely. Then I'm going to snip off my little excess. And I'm going to tuck my little sharp point in. Very gently. So now I have this loop is going in the opposite direction of the loops on my first link. See, here's the opening of my first link. This loop is going this way because there is the outside edge of the wire. So now I can just add my beads and repeat this technique for the other end of the wire. So I'm going to pick up my beads, 15, 11, my big bead, an 11, and a 15. I'm going to let them drop down there and butt right up against your coils. So I still want this loop to go the same way as the loop I just made. So I'm going to hold that so that the wire is facing me, not the whole of the loop. I'm going to get these little chain nose pliers and I'm going to grab right there up against my beads. And I'm going to just bend my wire straight to a 90-degree angle over my little chain nose pliers. I'm going to put those down and I'm going to grab that wire on my mark with my round nose pliers, holding my work like this. I'm just going to push it up and over. And like I said, I like to come to the front of my bead, but you do whichever direction is more comfortable for you. Now that I'm in this position, I need to open my pliers and rotate them up so that my free nose is on the top. And then I want to bring my wire across the base wire. Just like that. And I'm going to rock mine. I'm trying to get my little 15 OC bead out of the way. I'm going to rock mine back just a little bit and tighten up my loop so that when I bring it off, this is what I have. And I'm ready to close this this end. I will grab with my pliers. I'm going to go ahead and snip off all but just a little bit here, just because it's easier for me and I don't want to mess up at this point. So I'm going to make my little handle, and I'm going to wrap around the back, come around the front, tuck, make sure my wire is snugging up nice, or my coil is snugging up really close. And when I will do it again, I'm going to come around. I'm going to bring my pliers back under and grab my wire one more time. Make sure my coils are nice and snug. So I have one more to do. I'm going to come grab my little handle here. I'm going to come back around the front, go underneath and grab, and come back around. Now if you have a little gap in here between your last wrap and your bead, you can always bring it on around one more time to make your work look nice and neat. That is one thing that you'll have to do, you make a judgment on as you make your little beaded links or your beaded chain. So now I'm ready to cut this little piece off. I'm going to come in with my flush cutters and snip as close as I can get, just like that. And if I have a sharp point poking up, I'll need to come in with my chain nose pliers here and mash it down so it doesn't snag on your clothes or your skin. And there we go. So there we have two. I'm going to show you guys how to do one more. And like, if you want to complete this project, you can go purchase and download the PDF off the website. So let's do one more. So I've used up that little piece of wire, so I'm going to go ahead and cut myself another one. And this one I'm just going to cut kind of short. For demonstration purposes. I'll finish my bracelet later. So I want to make sure I have my flush end here. So let's go ahead and do that. Off we go. We're going to make our bend at right about 1 1/4. Right here. Bend my wire over to the 90-degree angle. If your wire is not straight, straighten it up with your fingers or some nylon jaw pliers, which I have these here. So now we have that bend in place. We're going to get our little round noses out and come grab it on the mark. Just like this. We're going to bring that one up over the top nose till it reaches around and meets. Open the pliers gently, rotate the pliers and close. Bring your wire all the way across so that it sits at 90 degrees again, just like this. You can rock back if you need to put, you know, to shape up your little loop there. So now I have my loop. So before I wrap it up, I want to connect it to the last link I made. So pick up your links, go through the hole in that. Try not to bend your soft wire, but you want to bring it down and pop it into place just like that. Excuse me. So now I'm going to get my little Tool Magic pliers out again. I'm going to come up here and grab right up where my two wires meet as close as I can get. Get my chain nose pliers and go ahead and start my 3 little wraps. Tuck it up against the work if I need to. I'm going to bend my little handle this way. So there's 2. I'm going to make sure that my coils are nice and tight. I'm going to come one more and then back under. And my coil got away from me just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pliers and just gently squish it back up where it needs to be. And get rid of my little tip it in here. And I'm going to pinch down my little sharp piece and get my coils back together. just like that. So now I can add my beads and do the same thing on the opposite end. So let's pick up my little beads here. My 15, 11, my big bead, and 11, and 15. And just let them fall all the way down. Going to hold my link I just made, my hoop, so that the wire is facing me. Come in with my chain nose pliers tight against my beads and bend my wire at the 90-degree angle. Get my round nose. Come in. I'm going to get rid of a big chunk of this wire so I just have a little bit to work to do my wraps with. Make my I'm going to come around and make my loop first. So let's come over and make my loop till it touches the bead. Open, rotate, close. Get your little seed bead down out of the way and come on across. So I might have cut that wire just a little too short, but I'm going to make it work. So now I'm ready to do my wrap. I'm going to come in here and grab right there where the two wires meet. Pick up my other chain nose pliers and do my wraps. So that one I could feel it slip to, so I'm going to push it back up where it goes. Tighten that wire just a little. Continue on with my next wrap. And I have one more right there. And come around. Now I'm going to snip my little tip away. Using the flush side of my cutters. And squish down my little sharp end. And there I have 3 done. I hope you like this video. If you do, please click like. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm really enjoying doing these basic technique videos. I've been wanting to do them for a long time, ever since I started my YouTube channel, and I've decided this year that I'm going to go ahead and take the time to do them. I think they're very important that we learn that we master each one of these basic techniques, so that when we decide we want to use a new technique in our jewelry making, we have that available to us. For example, like I did the bead weaving bracelet on this, but I used my wires techniques for this unique and beautiful clasp. This S-hook clasp, just like that. And I love that added special touch. It just really sets your jewelry apart from, you know, people who are using the store-bought findings. All right, folks, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Make sure that you head on over to thealluringbeadboutique.com. Click subscribe to sign up for your exclusive content, which I'm getting more and more of that added as we go along, and the great discount on patterns and jewelry. All right, folks, thank you so much. Have a great day.